Oh, thank you so much, Mark, for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you on this call. And for those of you that don't know, this is Mark Bradshaw, and he is a top producer from South Florida. The thing that I most admire about you is your genuine client-centric approach and just really the way that you connect with your clients. You build that trust and it really builds like your SOI, your sphere of influence in this organic way, almost even perhaps untraditional real estate tactics. You avoid buying leads and you avoid cold farming or cold calling. And I'm interested because in light of this whole NAR settlement, your approach seems to have you set up in your market to not really be feeling the ripples of effects here. So I'm interested to really pick your brain today. So tell me more. Tell me more about your approach.
I'm more of, as you well know, my marketing strategy is more of a pull marketing, meaning a lot of people, a lot of agents out there, they always go out there and they're push, and they're pushing marketing. I set up my marketing, which took a little bit longer, but it just constantly generates leads for me the way I did it. So I'm pulling these leads in versus pushing. I prefer that.
I love
So that's one way how I do it and how it's been very successful for me.
That's awesome. Just that magnetizing pull towards you. I mean, that says a lot about you as an agent and your tactics. Well, and I think you did tell me a while back that you had a really great year last year in 2023, and a lot of agents didn't have good years in 23. And you told me that, you actually closed more and worked less, which allowed you to have way more freedom with family and grandkids and things like that. Was that part of how your leads are just coming to you? Tell me more there.
Yes. Mainly what's going on is from my branding and my cool marketing and how I do it on social media. I have a huge following out there. Some of them are silent followers and some of them are not. But you can find out the silent ones because when I post something, once in a while they'll pop up and say something. Or for example, there was a client up in Jersey that been following me that I never even knew. Posted something and they responded to it, and now that led me to another lead, which led me to a close strictly
Wow.
by branding.
That's amazing. Your marketing tactics are not just in your local market, they're actually stretching across state lines, attracting. That's amazing.
I'm finding where the people are coming from
Mm.
to Florida, but what state are they coming from? And that's where I hit the hardest. That's where I do my targeting marketing.
Smart, strategic, working smarter, not harder. You're not out there hitting the pavement, door knocking, begging for leads. You're actually using these tools and these tactics to work for you. And that's really, really cool to hear because it elevates the way that you are not only just approaching your real estate business, but how you're connecting to your audience and they see it. And I love that you actually touch base on those silent viewers or those silent audience because a lot of times marketing, just even on social media, it kind of feels like, wow, like, hello, is this thing on? Testing, testing, because you post something out there and, you don't really get a like or, a comment or anything, but people are noticing, they're watching, they're noticing you and you're sticking in their mind. So that's what I hear you say. And that's what I'm reflecting back of hearing you say. So that's really, really awesome to hear that.
Extremely important to be constantly in people's minds, constantly.
Yeah.
How you get referrals. That's how you do follow up with them. Just because they are a customer or a client, always stay in touch with them.
Yeah.
Birthday, stuff like that. A lot of agents aren't there. That's their biggest hang up is follow up. They have follow up, and they become friends. They become family.
Yeah, a lot of follow up you hear. And in like traditional real estate marketing, they'll stop by for a pop by for maybe a pie around Thanksgiving. And it's the one and only time that they're like, here's a pie. And you're like, okay. But when you're constantly, quarterly almost, you should be connecting or reaching out or even a video or something, stay top of mind. Those are the things that, I mean, honestly, the market is flooded with realtors and everybody knows a realtor or is related to one. So what's making you stand in their mind kind of outside that? Like, okay, yeah, like my cousin's a realtor, but Mark touched base with me like 6 times this year. And that sticks in their mind. They want to come to you and ask advice or if anything's changing in the industry or in the marketplace, you're the first go-to. And I love that you're, again, just using those client-centric approaches to connect. To me, I feel like just being client-centric, having connection really is a source of currency. It's better than buying a lead. It just always will.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Never will buy a lead. Absolutely.
I love that. You're like, nope, never will buy a lead.
Now, one of my biggest things that I love to do, and just from the fire department, those who know me, I retired from the fire department in this very prestigious island, which is called Palm Beach. From working there, it was instilled in us to give a white glove treatment to all of our patients and anything over there in Palm Beach. So I have taken that white glove philosophy and brought it to my business, and I strongly believe that is helping me out tremendously to be a step and above. I'm always going above and beyond.
So you talked a little bit about being a firefighter. That was actually my next question for you. Just to tell us a little bit more about yourself. Besides that you're a phenomenal agent, you touch base on firefighter, but tell us more about, your life, how you're balancing this work-life balance.
Well, I kind of combined it. One thing I like to do is I like to have fun. If you're not having fun, it's work. If it's work, it's not fun. I told my wife that if this ever becomes work, I'm out. If you enjoy and you love doing what you're doing, it's never going to be work. I kind of combined my lifestyle, which is boating, fishing, diving, showing the lifestyle of South Florida. That's how I try to promote myself. I'm not selling me. I'm selling South Florida. There's so much to do down here. We have the best diving, the best fishing, as I always say. So I interpret that into my business. Also, I'm a proud grandfather. I bring my little man with me on showing sometimes.
He's so cute. He's so cute. I got to see him. He's adorable.
And matter of fact, I took him up to Ocala, and during the inspection over there in Ocala, the listing that I have, put a little name tag on him, and we call him the closer. So, and he was so proud of that, walking around showing everybody that he's the closer.
I love it. That's adorable.
It's just enjoyment.
It's a family business.
It's a family business. Another hobby of mine is I'm a huge equestrian person. We have some good property up in Tennessee that backs up to the Big South Fork, and we have our horses up there that we go horseback rides.
Which is another market that you flex your expertise in as well. Yeah, so you're far and wide, and I think that's amazing because you can help people not only in South Florida. I mean, well, you just talked about Ocala. That's more Central Florida. That's closer to me, and Tennessee. And it's just once you know what you're doing and the value you provide your clients, you're like, I can spread my wings and help more people. And I think that's really cool because real estate needs more agents like you because so many are just so quick to, get to the closing table and get their commission and next. I've seen a lot of people get burnt that way. It's the hardest, most stressful transaction that you'll ever walk through. And the last thing you need is a commission hungry agent on your side. You need an expert, someone that's 3 steps ahead, someone that'll give it to you real and transparent and that gives you that trustworthy feeling. And I know that you bring that to light a lot. We need more. So whenever Walker's ready, we need him in the game.
Absolutely. One thing you're going to get from my business or any agent that's with me, you're going to get the white glove treatment above and beyond, and you will never, ever get commission breath from anybody that works with me. To me, that's a big no-no. You're there to help the customer. Right. You're not there to help yourself. And that's the difference.
That's the difference. But you and I know that that's the minority of how a lot of people practice real estate. And it's unfortunate. It really is. So I love working with you because you are definitely one of the minority elite few that I get to work with long-term. And that's the type of client that I love working with to elevate them out of that sea of sameness, out of that crowd of people just chasing commission. There's a different way. Yeah, I love that. All right. So as someone who attracts and magnetizes, in closing deals, like we've talked about, what role do you think that your branding plays in differentiating yourself from competitors in the sea of sameness that we were talking about?
If you don't have brand, you don't have anything. You're not in the game. You have to have your branding and your marketing strategy. That's the biggest thing. It's funny. I was actually going through some videos and some pictures, and I see this agent and her sign in the front yard of this. I'm like, okay, but it doesn't have the wow effect. And that's the thing. If you don't have the wow effect with your brand, thanks to you, if you don't have your wow effect, you're not going to make it. Because like I always say, if you don't have brand, you don't have anything.
So what is brand? Tell me that. I would love to hear your explanation of brand since now that you're knee deep in it now.
I knew you were going to ask me that.
I have to.
When I first
coming
started,
from a realtor than from me. So
when I first started with you, I showed you this beautiful logo that I paid somebody to build.
I have a visual if you want me to bring it up.
That's totally up to you, but big difference. And you were so polite and so sweet, and you asked me, what does this logo mean? And it really didn't mean anything. There it is. The B stands for Bradshaw Group. And then you asked me, what does the gold circles mean? And honestly, I just thought it kind of looked luxurious. Then if you can bring something else up and pop it up, there it is. That is luxurious. I've always get, every time somebody sees that logo, they either say, we love it, or I had one, another coworker said, that's bougie. And I'm like, what the heck is bougie?
That's what the B stands for. No, just kidding.
Then I looked it up and I'm like, that's not very nice. You can tell the difference from the two logos, in which I thought coming into this career that was branding, and it's not. You can see the difference, big difference.
And what I love most is because we took a deep dive together and we've worked long term, we were able to really develop something that reflects you, what your market is, what you're giving. Like you're saying, you're reflecting, you're talking about South Florida, you're selling South Florida. You're an amazing perk of selling South Florida because you're like, yeah, and you get, a badass agent that's going to be true and transparent with you. And the logo that we developed for you absolutely is, it has the palm tree in it. It feels luxurious. It's got that diamond feel. It's gold. It's black. It still has some of the same elements, but it's more reflective of you and what you're bringing to the table. Developing that further into branding, because that's just the logo, right? But once you have the logo, then we carry it through, and I'll just go ahead and show that. We were able to develop this into more cohesiveness across the board, and it went into your social media, it went into your flags, it went into your signage, it went into your listing packets, your magazine. You also, you do magazines quarterly that you're advertising to. Everything. It is now cohesive. You get that expert reflection through, and I know you get a lot of compliments. And it's got to feel good when people compliment it, because you're like, yeah, that's my logo. Like, that's me. That's my brand. It's not something that you see somebody else using. It's catered and developed and customized specifically for you. Let's go back over to these questions, because so you're obviously, you have these tactics that are working great for you. In light of the NAR settlement, we had spoken about this actually last year when it was kind of coming down the chain of like, oh, things are going to change. And I asked you, how are you feeling? And I specifically remember you being like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm established in my market. And it's not a cocky thing. It's more of the expertise that I bring, the caliber that I bring to my clients. I show, they know. And when they refer me business, it's that you're not being referred as a discount agent, or where you're going to be getting less than commission of the value that you bring, the work that you put in. So I'm wondering, how crucial do you believe that branding and marketing, since that's what we're talking about, are for real estate professionals really looking to maintain that competitive edge in this NAR settlement that's about to be finalized?
Well, first of all, nothing has really changed. It's not changing my way of doing business. It never will. Some of the things that I've been hearing, a lot of agents are panicking. Don't panic. This is a perfect opportunity with your brand, but show the client and the customer your value. This is the perfect opportunity. To me, this is going to progress even more. It's going to force I call them hidden agents out there that don't want to brand themselves, that don't want to go out there and make the phone calls and talk to the people or talk to the other agents. This is going to teach you and show you and kind of push you, and I think it's a great thing for our career, push you to that level of negotiating and talking and showing your value. Seize the opportunity.
It is. It's an opportunity to stretch yourself. And in that stretch is where you'll grow, and you'll grow your sphere, you'll grow yourself, you'll grow that reflection, So, I mean, you're just an eternal optimist. So of course you're going to say it's opportunity.
It is.
It's literally opportunity knocking.
It does. Opportunity always knocks. People that don't see the opportunity just don't open the door.
No, they'll turn away and this is too hard, and they'll find something else. But really, this is the tactic for, honestly, most people that depend on sales to feed their families. Your tactic is always going to be connection. That's the bottom line, and it works well in real estate. I agree.
Some of the things I would recommend, give advice to any new coming agents. One, like I just said earlier, don't panic. I had a conversation with another agent up north. Same question, just like everybody else. What do you feel about this NAR settlement? I don't feel anything. She was telling me a lot of people are leaving, hanging up their license. And I said, for what? Because they're scared of not getting paid. And then that's when I told her, I said, please let them know and do this yourself. Educate yourself.
Yeah.
Learn what's going on. And you will see nothing's really changed. Number two, new agents, buyer agreements. Definitely get a buyer's agreement.
Well, aren't they going to be required eventually from all brokerages moving forward? Yeah.
Absolutely. It gives you the opportunity to, and this is what I was telling agents, I call them silent agents because they don't want to go out there and discuss this, but that gives you the perfect opportunity to show yourself worth, to show the value that you bring to that customer. So, number three, we need to educate our buyers and sellers now. For example, I had a listing, gentleman, he goes, typical thing that everybody says, I saw it on the news. I don't have to pay for buyer's commission. And I said, you never had to. I said, but let me tell you what's going to happen. Your listing's going to stay on longer. You're not going to get a lot of showings. And if you do, guess what? Inside that contract, you're going to be probably have to negotiate for the buyer's commission. They can't finance it. If you don't, it's going to knock out a lot of home. That's another thing. People saying first time home buyers, they can barely afford the house getting in, down payment, all the other closing costs and stuff like that.
Right.
Now they're going to have to come up and pay for the buyer's agent. Some of them can do it, but most of them can't. But everything's negotiable. Sellers always ask when I do my presentation, they get right to the commission part. They always say, what do you charge? I said, that's up to you. And it upsets a lot of agents out there because I always tell them, you've always had control of what do you want to charge. Commissions are always been negotiable and they always will.
And I love that you're talking about the buyer's agreement of, it really is something that helps cover your end. You're doing a lot of work as a buyer's agent. You're driving all over, you're opening doors, you're scheduling times, you're making sure there's, they can't see it on a weekend or they work on weekdays, or you're doing all of that. So when you have that opportunity to explain that and with transparency and spotlight that and say, yeah, true, this is on the news and everybody's hearing about it, but to really flex that expertise again and say, yeah, and this is the value I bring you. And this is our goal. Your vision is to have this home by this timeline, and I'm going to bust my ass to make that happen. And that's why this commission XYZ is what I expect in return. And if the seller is not willing to give that, then you're signing this buyer's agreement so that I still get my end. When you're able to be very transparent about it, nobody's expecting anybody to work for free. But when you can just bring it transparently and say, this is it, this is what I do, it's fair. You're not charging 10%, but it's a fair commission. And when you can show light of bringing that value forward, the buyer is going to be like, okay, yeah, no, I hear that. Okay. And then when it comes down to negotiation, maybe some of that is covered by the seller. You don't know. But again, if you're the expert, you might be able to negotiate that into the deal. It just brings so much more opportunity to speak with your client, to flex that expertise, to spotlight that knowledge. They're just going on the cliff notes of what they heard on wherever, CNN, Fox, wherever, they're just like, oh, I don't have to pay. Yeah, well, you won't be getting a home.
Yeah, if you really want to sell your house, you're going to have to make it seller's commission.
Yeah.
This is a professional service. We provide a professional service, just like a lawyer, a doctor, or anything like that.
Agreed. I love this. See, this is good information. And I don't know why agents would be scared of, or, hanging their license up. It's, more than the buyer or the seller does. They're not doing this day in and day out. You already have an advantage of knowledge. This is just one more opportunity to level up that knowledge, keep your ear to the ground and keep going, grow through it. Not everybody's optimistic like you though. So, all right, let's move on from the NAR settlement. I'm wondering, because we're always talking about branding here, and I want to hear a success story about where your branding directly led to a lucrative lead for you. Like, wow, it's working. I didn't even get to meet the client and they're already impressed and they want to work with me. I'm wondering if you have any good success stories like that where your marketing dollars are working hard for you.
Well, there's a couple of them, actually. One just recently, it was an investor of mine from Texas. The family follows me on social media. We spoke prior, probably about a year and a half ago was the last time I talked to him, until he reached back out to me a year and a half later, was ready. I had to go from Jupiter all the way down to Miami with him. I picked out several places. He was strictly looking for Airbnbs, narrowed it down. We got one down in Jupiter.
Nice.
This was a gentleman from Texas on social media. So my branding reaches out to there because I target out there, silent followers.
So I love those. I love those branding success stories. That's music to my ears. I love that you're getting so much more from your marketing dollars. Yeah, the pull marketing, that it's magnetizing them towards you. And I'm sorry, but no postcard can do that. You hear people doing those traditional tactics of marketing, like we talked about, door knocking or cold calling, or even this new one. I get it all the time, and it's like a text message. And I'm sorry, if anybody's using this tactic, you probably want to stop watching right now because I'm about to talk smack about it. But it's like, hey, Charles, I am interested in buying your property. And like, you expect the person on the other end to be dumb enough enough to be like, oh, you have the wrong number, but I might be interested in some. That is not the way to that is cold phishing. You are phishing using dumb tactics. People are blocking you, ignoring you. You're giving a yucky feeling to the real estate industry by cold phishing that way. Instead, do connection, reach out to your sphere, your inner circle, talk to them, do video, talk about your expertise. There's other connected ways of really bringing in clients into your sphere of influence. And because you're as a top producer in South Florida, any potential challenges that you might see for an established agent at yourself? Or I'm curious, are you just grabbing it and adding it to your bag and continuing going?
Exactly what I'm doing. I'm not nervous about anything, really, because nothing in my eyes has changed. Just more opportunities are there, honestly. And I know I'm being overly optimistic, but no, I see a lot of opportunities coming in to make you as a public servant, because that's what you are. You provide a service to these people. This is not the time to panic or run with your tail between your legs. It's the time to show your true value of what you do. Grab the lion by the tail and run with it. Some of the things that I like to say with this NAR settlement, commissions, the only thing that's going to be changing on that, you can't put them on the MLS, which is no big deal.
Can't advertise on the MLS, exactly.
You just can't advertise on the MLS. So how are we going to do it? You're going to set your own negotiation with the buyer and the seller. Going to negotiate. So you younger agents that are coming in, take some classes in negotiation. You're going to need it, because now it's time to get to work. You're not having competitive or broker fees in the MLS, basically announcing them. So that will never be there. So that's when I said you need a buyer brokerage agreement to ensure the value and the benefits that you are using as an agent. That's going to give you an opportunity. But you did mention something that I want to bring up. I got a hold of fresh off the market, some stuff that NAR is requesting, and some of it we already been doing.
All right. Hot tips.
You can't receive any compensation from any source, but you must specify the amount or the rate and how the rate is determined. So that's things that you're going to have to do. And another thing is the amount of compensation must be objectively sustainable and may not be open-ended. Meaning, when everyone starts using buyer's written agreements, you cannot say buyer broker compensation cannot be whatever the seller is willing to pay, because basically, what is that? That's an open-ended question.
It has to be set.
Has to be set.
XYZ is set. This is what is expected. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And you cannot receive any compensation from a brokerage services from any source that exceeds the amount that agreed in the buyer's agreement. And this is very important. For example, when you do the buyer's agreement and you negotiate with the buyer that your fee is going to be, let's just say 3%, use that. If we go through the MLS, we are not cherry picking, because that's another thing a lot of people are going to be doing is cherry picking, not ethical.
Not ethical laws. You're right. Can't do that.
Not for you, you're there for them. When you make the buyer's broker agreement and you set the 3%, let's just say use 3%. If you find a seller that's willing to pay 4%, okay, can we go ahead and go there? No, we can't.
Oh, really? Because it's already set.
It's already set.
Interesting.
You cannot take whatever that seller is giving. You cannot take, because you already negotiated in the contract.
That's a good savings for the seller, right? The seller's like, oh, great, back in my pocket. Okay.
But a lot of agents don't know that. Something that they can get themselves in trouble with. So
yeah, and just take it all. Interesting.
You need to educate yourself on this. Okay, you cannot say your services are free unless you are not receiving any compensation from anybody. Some agents out there are sitting there saying, oh, you don't have to pay me. My service is free. The seller pays me. You don't. And you can't say that. You should never say that unless you're actually doing it for free.
Yeah. And who wants to work for free? We work to pay money to feed our families. That's why we work.
I have bills to pay.
Yeah, don't we all?
Okay, one thing that every agent needs to get in their freaking head is commission is not set by law. It is fully negotiable. Remember that. These are just some little tidbits that I pulled out that some agents and some new agents and buyers and sellers need to know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that you're continuing just knowledge going forward and trying to learn more as it's coming down the pipeline and not waiting, right? You said it's opportunity and you're the expert. Like you said, people are coming to you, even agents, even other brokers are coming to you asking, like, what are we doing? So it's in a time to advance your knowledge. And like you said, grab it and run, because
Grab the
change
line.
is what grows us.
Absolutely. Yes, it does.
Absolutely. I love all of your knowledge and expertise. Thank you so much. I could talk to you for all day, but I know our time is up, so I want to go ahead and let you go because I'm sure you got lots of properties to sell. But thank you so much for spending time with me today and sharing so much of knowledge about the NAR and your expertise. And truly, truly really cool to have you in my corner of one of the amazing realtors that I get to work with and soundboard lots of these different changes coming down the pipeline. And I'm going to go ahead and pop your links down at the bottom for anyone that wants to connect with you and watch what you're doing online, how you're using marketing as a tool, as a free tool, really, to further that reach across state lines. And so clients and anybody else that's looking for that expert, especially in light of these changes to the real estate market, how you're using that. So yeah, make sure you like and follow Mark Bradshaw below. And I'll go ahead and pop my links down also there too for anyone that's looking for ways to really set themselves out of this sea of sameness and really elevate the caliber of how you're showing up in your market, and just how that's worked so well for Mark and a lot of the clients that I get to work with long term. We continuously avoid these other tactics of buying leads or cold calling. It really is a magnetic draw towards yourself, your brand, your essence. And I always love hearing these stories, and I always love connecting with you and my clients just to hear how it's working and how it continues to work. It's not something like, oh yeah, it worked once away and it's gone. No, it just keeps evolving. It just keeps getting better and better, like fine wine. So, so thank you so much for your time, Mark. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good day and be productive. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.